now that the dust is really settled with Dragonflight, we're kind of in it, and we're kind of waiting for things to happen. There are things that we can look forward to thanks to the roadmap that they had provided just the other week, and that's got a lot of people, including myself, really excited about what to look forward to in 2023. But what else is there, right? Like there are things that are on that image. I don't have it on me. There are things that are on there that are like really great. They're really awesome, but they're also pretty vague. They're very high level. They're not detailed, and there are things that people just want. And so I am here to just talk about it and bring things up. So this is going to be a fun little video. Nothing huge, nothing crazy. It's not even going to be very sophisticated with the B-roll. I mean, here's my sophisticated presentation format, right? Top things video. Let's go. So I want to, bring up, like I said, things that folks are looking forward to, things that have been mentioned but haven't been officially announced yet. And of course, people in chat who are here, commenters, feel free to chime in with the things that you're hoping for. This is a wish list. Let's just try to be excited about stuff. All right. So let's go. Cross faction guilds. This is like one of my number ones next to player housing. That's like my zero. But let's just talk about what's more possible. Cross faction guilds. I'm feeling more. I'm still feeling the pain of not being able to, take some, the very few guildmates that I have. This is very anecdotal, but I have a guildmate. He raids. He wants to play an alliance character. He wants to raid with us on, we're a horde, by the way. So there are conflicts there. It's hard for, it's hard. It's a little bit harder to coordinate. It's a little bit harder to get things together. It's hard to share materials, things like that. That stuff sucks. There are challenges. Cross faction guilds will kind of solve that. It's not everything though. There are people who want they want cross realm communities. Like forget those. We want cross realm guilds. We want to be able to trade these resources back and forth and everything. But I think a good start would be cross faction guilds. And Blizzard did say that by the end of Shadowlands, this would be a thing. And it might really be the end of Shadowlands. But you know what? No, I want it now. I would like it way sooner. It's going to get a lot more people being able to play together. It's going to bring up a couple of other things, but it's just going to get a lot more people to play together. It'll be really exciting. Period. All right. Next is Dracthyr class combos. I believe it was Mr. GM that put out a video just earlier today where he talked about, hey, dude, Dracthyr class combos. Is it going to be a thing sometime this year? Maybe. But when? I don't know. But it's been a conversation ever since the Dracthyr Evoker was even announced. That people were like, hey, we don't want this to be like a race class exclusive sort of thing. We want Dracthyr rogues and warriors and warlocks and druids, which would be really weird. Dracthyr druids. So flight form sounds obvious. Bear form sounds, I guess, also obvious. And cat form, I guess it's going to kind of look sort of like the different drakes that we use. They're just going to be those sorts of different shapes. But anyway, class combinations are a hot topic when it comes to Dracthyr or heck, any race. And I think I have that further down the list here. Being able to have our Dracthyr become like different classes and whatnot, it'd be huge. Folks would absolutely love it. Did I mention the end of Shadowlands? Still traumatized. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, people are really looking forward to Dracthyr class combos. I could definitely see like them opening up these class combos. Starting with simple stuff like the ones that don't require much explanation at all. Warriors, mages, hunters. Hunters seem kind of weird too. Hey, I'm a dragon. I'm going to tame these. Yeah, that seems kind of weird. But yeah, I could see hunters. I could see rogues, mages, and priests, monks as well. Those are what I consider pretty accessible classes. Druids are a little bit tough. Shaman, I think we can explain away. Demon hunters, that's a totally different thing. Same thing with Death Knights. That's a totally different thing. But having it start to open up, I think we can see the start of that coming pretty soon. So I'm like, hey, why not? Moving on to more visage forms, another super hot topic ever since it was announced how the Dracthyr would work as a race. We've seen throughout the start of Dragonflight, not exactly Dracthyr, but we've seen regular old dragons being able to change to a multitude of different forms and races that the Dracthyr are unable to do. Lore wise, we can easily just say, hey, you know what? They just learn how to become more races because now that they're being exposed to more of them, they're like, hey, they look cool. You know, cows look cool. Gnomes look cool. I want to look like them. And so, hey, why not? Just like, you know, Peter says, torn rose, you know, why not? Absolutely. Who would we start with, actually? Because part of me thinks that maybe they can't be all of them at once because I think this is one of those cases where, you know, there are numerous races. I don't think it would be fair for fans to be like, hey, Blizzard, we want, you know, one, we want all of it now. But realistically, I would rather have them roll out a number of visage forms, you know, per patch or something like that, than to just wait until all of them are available. That just kind of, it'd be better. I think we'd be better off being like teased every now and then, like, hey, here's like a couple of them, guys, and we're like, yeah, you know. And meanwhile, there's going to be grumbling from other folks. Well, what about Cool Tyrann, man? What are you guys, racists? And you know, we're going to get those sorts of conversations probably. But I think ultimately, you know, in the long run, as long as they hit that goal of nailing pretty much every race available, then all the better. Other class combos, yeah, I just alluded to that. So other class combos, we're still waiting for those. I believe it was a interview with Brian Holinka who had said that eventually we're gonna get them all: paladins, druids, demon hunters, and all that stuff. I still think that druids are exceptionally tough because I do feel like each race should have its own kind of unique, you know, their unique take on what is guardian, what is feral, what is flight form, what is boomkin, and so on and so forth. So I'm sure that some folks would push back on that and say, nah, screw it, man. If they're gonna look like your good old Tauren, troll, boomkin kind of, you know, boom chicken kind of thing, fine, as long as you make it work. And I get that. But I know that people would be really disappointed too if it didn't turn out like that. And they would just be like, oh, Blizzard, they're just recycling blah, blah, blah. And they're just half-assing it. Something $1 million company, dollar company, in fact. And so, you know, there's going to be conversations about how they would go about implementing this. But we know it's coming. It's just a matter of when. And you know, they clearly didn't say that they were going to do it now. They only announced, if anything, it was just a human and orc heritage armor, which is great too. But as always, we're really hungry people. Moving on, more dragon customizations, and by this I mean dragon riding customizations. It's been pointed out to me a number of times that dragons don't have helmets. And if you look around the Dragon Isles, especially the very few times where you'll see flight points, some of those dragons, drakes, whatever, they look like the ones that we ride. And they got cool hats. They got helmets and stuff. Part of me was hoping that for Christmas, you know, during Winter's Veil, that the present inside would have been a hat for our dragons, like a little Santa hat. I mean, we saw some cool stuff throughout the raid and other places where we would see bosses with holiday decorative stuff. It would have been awesome. It felt like that would have been like an easy dunk if we could have had Christmas related stuff, holiday related stuff on our dragons, like a wreath around the neck or like a Santa, you know, like I said, a Santa hat, things like that. But of course, to get more extensive too with, you know, more kinds of armor decorations, more kinds of skins, more colors than the few that are available now. I'd love to see like just a whole bunch of different things, as well as full on skin customizations too. The Razageth one is really awesome. The Gladiator one is really awesome. Obviously, players are hungry for more, 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 more. More Dracthyr armor, very closely related to the dragon riding stuff, and closely related to just Dracthyr in general. Getting more customizations beyond what we have right now would be absolutely awesome. It is a continuing critique that Dracthyr aren't able to transmog into much of anything. I kind of get why, but it's still not okay. I do feel like if they're going to, if they're not going to introduce like more transmog to Dracthyr as a whole, then at least add more of this preset armor so we can get like some different looks. I mean, every tier could have like something kind of new and unique for them. I think that would be immensely helpful. Now, it might feel a little bit heavy-handed too, because Dracthyr evokers, in their visage form, they do have like a tier set armor piece set sort of thing. They can retain that sort of look, but having a cool combat form would be awesome too. New expansion announcement. Now, we've learned that BlizzCon 2023 is very likely going to be a thing. But does that automatically mean that there will be a BlizzCon towards the end of the year, which would entail having a new expansion announcement towards the end of the year? It makes sense. The timeline fits. But I also wondered to myself, now this is part I want it, but also part, speculation. Okay, is this really going to happen? Part of me thinks that, or part of me is asking the question, should Blizzard and the WoW team hold themselves to that sort of schedule? Do they need to announce by that time or by this certain date? For all we know, BlizzCon is in 4 months. It might be in summer, which would be kind of nuts. But for all we know, it might be in summer. And so we may not get an announcement until towards the end of the year anyway. Now, so far, the Dragonflight schedule, it looks like they are pretty set. Looks like they have a plan, and that's very impressive. They have a roadmap and everything. They know what they're going to do for the next year or so. Barring catastrophe or barring delays by who knows what. But it does certainly feel like they plan on an announcement towards the end of the year. Now, will there be a BlizzCon with it? I don't know. But having it both together is very special. And that would definitely make going to BlizzCon really, really exciting. I think that, on top of everything that Blizzard has gone through, I do still think that there's going to be a pretty big demand of people wanting to go, just because it's been such a long time. Some people miss each other, and BlizzCon is that nexus of fandom that we haven't quite had in a number of years now. Chad is asking, isn't it a year early for even an announcement? No, it is not. Okay, actually, I would say yes, it is a year early for an announcement. However, it is January right now. So in, 10, 11 months, we might be at that stage. But this year would certainly be the time for an announcement to maybe happen. I guess to counter that, Dragonflight was announced in April, and it came out within, don't know the math, but it came out by late November, because they were well ahead of what they were doing. Now, will the production schedule allow for something like that? I don't know. I don't know. Let's move on though. Guild overhaul. So I mentioned cross-faction guilds, but specifically, I'm looking for an overhaul to how guilds work, like the meaning of guilds and what they offer, and like doing something about the value prop. Now, I don't have anything specific on this because to be honest, I don't have great ideas, and I'd love to hear some of your ideas. I don't mind. But I haven't really thought of anything great. I just feel like Dragonflight is doing its best to improve on evergreen systems, for better or worse. It's a mixed bag with how things are going with talents and professions and other such things. I think guilds and social systems are another big thing that needs a revamp. In fact, this isn't even on the list. I would say like the way that dungeon queues work, I think that needs like a really big overhaul as well. But I'm not quite sure if that's gonna really make it into a 2023 timeline. But I do feel like doing something about guilds is one of those things that a social system like this is something that would be doable in a patch, whether it's a minor one or a major one, probably coming a minor one. But I do think something like that can fit into a 2023 schedule. I just wish I had like some good ideas to share. But I feel really strongly that, guilds are one of the best ways to enjoy WoW. And I know that not everyone agrees with me on that for all sorts of reasons, but I do feel really strongly about that. And Blizzard ought to, give it another go, because it's been a while since it's really been like messed around with. It was just a guild finder. That was the last thing that they did with it. Profession wise, I'm hoping in 2023 this is almost a gimme, but I'm hoping we see like a new Blingtron, we see other recipes, fun stuff from mounts to toys to straight cosmetic cosmetic sets that we can make for ourselves or for others via crafting order. There is a continuing, I think this is the second time in a row that we've seen this, where we've seen those weekly profession quests for engineers that mention a Blingtron 8000. Now, the 7000, that came out during Battle for Azeroth, and in Shadowlands, we had no Blingtron at all. I want a Blingtron, dude. And they mentioned it. It's like the writing's on the wall. It's gotta happen. And as for other recipes, yeah, things that would be really awesome would be like pure cosmetics. I think that would be an awesome thing that people would want to have, that crafters can that crafters can make. It's a no rush thing. I don't think there's exactly going to be people who are racing for it. But if it's hard enough to make and it happens to like give skill points and things like that, then I think that would be, mostly beneficial for everybody. This didn't make it on the list either, but we didn't have a Brawlers Guild in Shadowlands either. I'd love to have it here in Dragonflight. Come on. Soulgood's partner? Yeah, right. More raised capitals. Not so much of a spoiler alert, I don't think, but there's a lot of heavy speculation that at some point the Night Elves are going to have a new place to call home. Great. Meanwhile, a number of years have gone by in game, and Gilneas is still not populated. The Undercity, which was cleansed at the end of Shadowlands, has not really been like reestablished as like a capital. And maybe it's not important, right? Maybe the stories in Dragonflight aren't going to really take us back to Gilneas or to the Undercity or to anything or to other places that I might have missed or didn't talk about. But I do really feel like we need to get like some of that back. I think Night Elves are going to be like the first in line for that because the story is very much affecting them directly right now. There aren't any Worgen stories or undead stories going on right now. But to be fair, what's going on with the Night Elves isn't exactly a Night Elf story, at least not immediately, but like the events of Dragonflight, they were more like a Tyrande and Malfurion story than it is the Night Elves. It just happens to be that the prospect of a capital, it's very closely tied to that. So I can see it. I can kind of see it happening either this year or next year, before the end of Dragonflight, but this would be like a big thing to look forward to. Profession quality of life changes. I almost want to make another video on this, but profession quality of life changes. Now, there are a lot of things that people want fixed with professions. People want public orders with quality requirements. People want to be able to disenchant their crafted gear so that it can be recrafted into like something else instead. And I'm not here to debate on what they should be or the merits of them, but It's got to have something, man. We got to have something to make things like a little bit better for folks, because there are some very messed up and immediate concerns with people trying to skill up and they're not able to because the things that they could skill up with, no one really wants them, unfortunately, or they can't really work that hustle to skill up, and that's very unfortunate. So I'm hoping to see some sort of quality of life changes much sooner than later. This is not like a 2023 thing. I'm hoping this is like a Q1 of this year, and yeah, and I think that makes up my list for now. Not too long of a list, but I wanted to cover some of the more hot topics and some of the more loud wants from folks, at least for this year. There's so many things that we'd love to see otherwise. Either within this expansion or in the next couple of years. Big revamps here, 10 more raids, and so on and so forth. But for now, that is my list, and I'm excited to see what is going to make it, from this list into 2023. And if not, what are we going to get instead? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this because, hey, like I said, we're just here to have fun and talk shop about WoW. But I'll leave it to you in the comments. Just leave one, like the video, subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you for the next thing. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.